Assuming so, I see nodding heads. So my name is Elliot Schmiedel. I'm the Director of Homeownership at the Massachusetts Housing Partnership. Happy to be here today to talk to you all about the Homeowner Assistance Fund, the HAF program, as we commonly refer to it. Want to introduce some of our other panelists from MHP. Joining me are Mark Curtis, our Managing Director, David Warsham, our Associate Director of Homeownership, and Isabel Cruz, a Program Manager on the Homeownership team. Also want to introduce Bailey DeRuin and Dana Ruback from Tidal Basin, our vendor who's working really closely with us. And you'll hear from some of these folks during the presentation today. So just some engagement best practices, rules of Zoom. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. Unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. We will hold time at the end for Q&A. There's a Q&A function within Zoom that you can submit your questions to. Of course, when we get into the Q&A, you can also raise your hand and ask questions that way as well. And we look to answer them the best that we can. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the program overview. So, what is the Homeowner Assistance Fund? Talk a little bit about the timeline that we've been working on the program for some time. We're getting close to launch. We'll try to define that a little bit more. We'll talk about the goals of the program, what we're trying to accomplish, what the U.S. Treasury Department is trying to accomplish with HAF, as well as the design of the program. We'll touch on homeowner eligibility, eligible uses of HAF funds, and we'll talk about service level cooperation agreements between MHP and mortgage loan servicers that will govern their participation in the program and the administration of the program. I'll then turn to our partners at Tidal Basin to get more technical and talk about the mortgage servicer onboarding process. There's an online portal that mortgage servicers will need to register within. There's going to be required documentation that you'll need to upload. And there will also be requirements and expectations around the exchange of data and communication, especially as they pertain to the common data file or CDF as it's commonly known. We'll leave time, like I mentioned, for Q&A, and then we'll close out with some resources and next steps so you all can leave here with a better understanding of where to go, where to get the right information, and how to proceed with your institution's participation in the HAF program. So we'll jump into the program overview. The Homeowner Assistance Fund is part of the larger ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act. It's administered by the United States Treasury Department. All 50 states, as well as Washington, D.C., tribes, territories, are getting a portion of these funds. And these funds are intended to provide at-risk homeowners who've been negatively impacted by the pandemic with the resources they need to maintain and sustain homeownership. Treasury provided high-level guidance on how the program should operate, but they didn't dictate exactly how each and every state or entity should administer the program. So they left some leeway and some flexibility in the design, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But in general, these funds are being used to bring mortgages current by way of mortgage reinstatement. That includes fees, costs associated with the mortgage, property taxes, home insurance, mortgage insurance, and municipal utilities, and we'll talk more specifically about that. Additionally, the U.S. Treasury Department did give guidance, specific guidance, to ensure that funds are prioritized for socially disadvantaged homeowners. So we do have a lens to ensure that we reach those homeowners, communicate to them, make them aware of the program, and ultimately get them the benefits that they seek, that they need. So, specifically for Massachusetts, the larger HAF program has allocated $178 million. A lot of money to help homeowners in need. The goal, again, is to prevent delinquencies, defaults, foreclosures, and displacements that have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The administering agency for Massachusetts is MHP. Many of you might be familiar with us, the Massachusetts Housing Partnership. And we have partnered with a nationally recognized industry leader, Tidal Basin, to provide a comprehensive technology and administrative services solution for the program. Tidal Basin brings a lot of understanding and know-how to the program. They participated, in former HHF or hardest hit fund programming and they're currently working with other states in addition to Massachusetts to stand up their HAF programs. So we're pleased to have them, and they've really helped us move the program along towards launch. One of the backbones for the program is going to be this online portal, which we'll talk about. It's called FAMS, or the Financial Assistance Management System. It's a place where homeowners will be able to go and enter an online application, and servicers will be able to go and submit data and exchange information with Title Base and with MHP to move payments forward and HAF awards forward. In addition to the online application, it's not mentioned here in the slide, but there's also going to be a fully staffed call center, multilingual call center to provide assistance and support to homeowners who need to learn more about the program or need help with their application, need help with the online application. In addition to that, that service, we will be working with a number of housing counseling agencies. Wraparound services are going to be important for the success of this program. In a lot of cases, it's not going to be as simple as, how much do you need? Here you go, mortgage reinstated. We're going to need some assistance with the application. Some homeowners might need in-depth counseling assistance, and others still yet might need legal services. So we are in the process, we MHP, of procuring that contract with a number of providers statewide to provide ample coverage. And we'll have a number of partners that we work closely with. Some insight into the timing here. We've been working for a number of months to put this program together, and we're getting close to launch. I think now is a particularly exciting time. This is one of the very first steps of making the program actually operational, moving out of the design and implementation phase and into the operation of the program. And we're aiming for a soft launch in early December. Soft launch could mean a lot of things. For this program, what it means is that the application portal will be open. Any homeowner who is interested in applying will be able to do so. But we're not going to start largely marketing the program quite yet. Get to mid-December, and that's when initial HAF payments will start to be processed. Payments will be made. Quick note that, and we're going to talk further about this, but signed cooperation agreements are going to be paramount to the early success of this program. That's why we're reaching out to servicers before we're reaching out to homeowners. It's really important to get servicers on board, cooperation established, participation clarified, so that when applicants submit their applications, there's somebody on the other end to back up that data and provide payment to. As we look forward, mid-January is an anticipated timeline for when we start a broader marketing and outreach campaign. We're going to share information with you guys, templates to reach out to borrowers, as well as more of a full-throated statewide campaign, partnering with community-based organizations, as well as hitting the airwaves with more information about the Homeowner Assistance Fund. This timeline is certainly subject to change, but as of today, this is what we are firmly planning on. We'll talk for a minute about homeowner eligibility. So in order to be eligible for the HAF program, homeowners must meet these criteria. They need to have experienced a COVID-related financial hardship on or after January 21st, 2020. An example of this hardship might be a reduction in income, might be job loss, reduction in hours worked, or an increased cost associated with healthcare or the care of a family member who was impacted by COVID. And we're not going to be requiring homeowners to submit documentation to back up this hardship. We're just going to be asking them to sign an attestation, certifying that they were, in fact, hit by the pandemic, impacted by the pandemic. HAF assistance is going to be provided to owner occupants of the following unit types: condos, single families, 2 families, 3 families, and 4 families. Not only do they need to be owner occupants, but they need the property on which someone can receive assistance needs to be their primary residence. they need to have an annual income equal to or lesser than 150% area median income. I know a lot of different programs have different income limits. 150 is a new one to us, but you'll be able to, or homeowners can actually go onto a site right now, massmortgagehelp.org, and plug in their community, their household size, and find out what the income limit is to help determine whether or not they might qualify. And that is going to be the combined income of those on the mortgage of the property. And then lastly, we are trying to prioritize these funds for those most in need. Therefore, first stages of the program are going to require that homeowners have missed at least 3 or more mortgage payments, 3 or more months behind, to ensure that payments are getting to those folks who need it most, who are most in distress. A little bit about eligible uses of HAF funds. So there's 2 broad buckets: mortgage assistance and property charges. For mortgage assistance, we're talking about things that will help a homeowner reinstate their mortgage: principal, interest, taxes, insurance. That includes homeowners insurance and mortgage insurance, and other housing-related costs that might be related to a period of forbearance, delinquency, default. We're looking to get people back to square one. And essentially wipe out the negative impacts of the pandemic as they relate to their mortgage. Other property charges are eligible as well. They need to basically be charges that would lead to reinstatement of a mortgage. So we're looking at things that might lead to a lien on a property. Municipal utilities. In a lot of Massachusetts communities, we're talking about water, sewer, in some cases electric, in other cases natural gas. As well as homeowners and condo association fees and charges. So those are the types of things that the application will ask the borrower to provide more information on as they walk through their application to ensure that what they need is actually an eligible use under the HAF program. So I'll speak for a minute about the service level cooperation agreements that I mentioned earlier. We've adopted an industry standard programmatic agreement that would be executed between MHP and the servicer. NCSHA, I'm not going to try to state what the acronym stands for, but has adopted a template that we've made maybe 1 or 2 tweaks to that will be available on the MHP website. This agreement will outline the terms of the servicer participation. It'll define MHP's role and the servicer's role. And it really describes a mutual understanding about the program's intent, its function, and the roles that we both play. It touches on things like the importance of timing. These borrowers that are seeking assistance are in default, they're delinquent, some are in process of foreclosure. Timing is of the essence, and it literally says that. It talks about the exchange of non-personal, the disclosure of non-public personal information, as well as the importance of data and information exchange. It also establishes points of contact at MHP and at each lender that we're working with. And generally speaking, having these agreements in place is going to make it a lot easier for the servicer to see and track payments within the system, ensure correct payments, and expedite the receipt of funds. So it's going to make everything flow a lot more smoothly. And we really strongly recommend that these agreements are in place ahead of the first borrower that kind of comes down your pipe. And we will provide some more detailed instruction at the tail end of how to proceed to download this cooperation agreement and return it to MHP. So quick glance here at the servicer journey. This is sort of a journey that involves the servicer, the homeowner, and the case managers, but I just want to walk through it real quick here. Step 1, we're completing that right now. Servicers attend a webinar and review materials. There's a lot to learn about this program, and we want to make sure that we're providing you with the materials and the information that you need to make appropriate decisions about the program and proceed with participation. Coming out of this session, we would ask that you review and sign the cooperation agreements that I just talked about, and then you'll be onboarded into the FAMS system. Once you're onboarded into the system, your next charge would be to start reaching out to homeowners. We'll provide you with some templates if needed, to reach out to those homeowners, inform them of HAF, and point them in the right direction. A homeowner is then going to access the portal, complete their application, upload their documents. It'll be reviewed by case managers, at which point the servicer will be asked again to exchange data via the common data file to ensure that what the homeowner has provided us is accurate. The application will then proceed to underwriting, final review, and then payments are made and dispersed to servicers and other entities. So that's a really high-level overview of the journey or the process, and we hope it'll be a smooth one. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our partners at Tidal Basin, Bailey and Dana, to talk more technically about the onboarding process and really provide you with some insight into the portal, how it will be beneficial, and how it will operate.
Hi, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bailey DeRuin. I work with Tidal Basin and am the project manager for the Massachusetts Homeowner Assistance Fund program. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Elliot really went through, the meat of the program and our goals here, and then I'm going to provide a little technical information for servicers about our FAM system and what the onboarding process will look like. Just so you know, this is kind of dense, and so you will get these materials following this session, so you can have that for reference as well. Apologies. So FAMS is our system, and as Elliot mentioned again at the beginning of the webinar, it's really it's a big component of the whole program. It's where our applicants will come to apply to the program, and it's where our servicers will come to exchange information with the HAF program and yourselves, right? So we can get these payments right and get the assistance out to our applicants. This is just some basic information about the portal. It is called the Financial Assistance Management System, and it allows servicers to log in and to view your information. This just says, for communication and interaction with the HAF program, and that's kind of the whole point of what we're doing here today. So, following this webinar, you will receive a copy of the servicer onboarding or servicer cooperation agreement. Once that's been executed between servicers and the state, we'll begin our onboarding process. So you can go to the next slide, please. So I know this is a little small and there's a lot of information here. So again, you'll get these slides following this webinar and you can look a little bit more closely. But this is kind of what I'm going to talk you through. If you see up at the beginning, we have start. And then we'll get the executed copy of the servicer agreement. That'll come to Tidal Basin, and we'll handle the provider onboarding. So we'll collect all of your information, and we'll go through, I think in the next couple of slides, what details we need to receive from the servicers to complete this. But we'll collect your information and essentially get you set up in the system. This is a very technical process flow. I don't know that you need to know that we'll generate emails and do all of that, but of course, if you have questions on any of these pieces, feel free to raise them and we're happy to get into it more. But basically, once the agreement is executed, you'll be coordinating with Tidal Basin to get set up in the FAM system, and we'll have access to all of that information. Next slide. Okay, so yeah, this is what we've been talking about a little bit. Once the mortgage provider is participating in the HAF and the SPA is required, the servicer will need to designate a point of contact. And then we'll take that first step of inviting the servicer into the HAF program and into the portal. Yep, so when you get set up in FAM, this is the information that the mortgage providers will have access to. And some of the information we'll request. This list is a little tricky, but we'll be requesting a W-9 and the onboarding form and the participation agreement. And this is also where we'll share the common data file between servicers and the FAM system to confirm the overage or the mortgage amounts due. Apologies. And so the onboarding form is found in the portal. We'll also email it to you because once you sign the servicer agreement with the state, we'll have all that contact information. Go to the next. So this is our mortgage provider onboarding form. As you'll see, it's pretty straightforward. This is really all we need to get started. Name, federal tax ID, address, and then primary contact information, and then an alternate just in case the primary is out. And then this will be the person that has access to the SFTP site that will be set up to exchange the information, and also just our main contact for the data exchange process. Go to the next one. Yep. And then this is just the more of the onboarder information that we request. We just want to confirm that the provider is familiar with and is capable of producing a CDF file. Then there's a 3-character code that actually I assume is unique to each file, but I don't know. And then we'll get the W-9 form and confirm your payment. ACH is preferred by the FAM system and by the program, and I assume it will be preferred by most providers. You know, it's just more efficient, it's easier for us to track, and it'll be faster to get our payments to you as well. So this is additional onboarding for utilities and these property charge entities that Elliot mentioned earlier that might prevent the mortgage from being reinstated. I think we mostly have mortgage servicers on the line today, but we do also have the ability to onboard utility and these property charge entities into FAMs, and the process is very similar as what we just discussed for the servicer onboarding. Basically, the outreach will happen and you'll get invited into the portal the same as a provider. Yep, and then so these folks need to give us similar information, and their the information though available in FAMs will be a little bit limited. You know, obviously utility companies don't have a need for the CDF file, so that won't be there, but W-9s, reports, and the onboarding information will be available to these utilities in the portal. Yeah, and then this is the utility and property charge provider onboarding form, similar to the servicers, but a little less information. The main flag here is provider type, you know, do you provide electricity, gas, water? That I think would be key, in addition, of course, to the provider name and your federal tax ID. And then just as before, the W-9 form is a requirement. And then how would you prefer to receive payment? So I know that we talked through that kind of quickly, and again, I'll have the materials and we are available for questions. Thanks, Elliot.
Yeah, thanks, Bailey. I think now's a good time to take some questions. Feel free to enter them into the chat, the Q&A, or just you know, feel free to ask. Just gonna look at the chat and see if we have any. Isabel, any questions in the Q&A? No? See one, all right. Does the borrower need to ask about this to qualify? No, the borrower can simply find out about the program and apply. And then, you know, we would basically make the mortgage servicer, notify the mortgage servicer that this applicant has applied and is in process for half funds. Follow-up question, if we see someone who may qualify, should we offer it to them? Absolutely. Any borrowers who you think might qualify, you can point to. You could even start today pointing them to our website that is up right now, and there's a pre-eligibility tool right there where they can answer a number of questions identify where they live, what their household size looks like, income, give them a good sense today of whether or not they might qualify. They can subscribe for email or text message updates, and that will notify them when the portal actually launches, so that they could go in, submit their applications, and then the servicer would be notified once that application is in process. Let's see, I had a question. Can you only have one contact person? The agreement asks for one contact person. I think that you could certainly provide us with the names and contact information of more than one person. But the agreement itself contains space for one, but I don't see a downside to providing us with more than one. Bailey, any technical considerations there?
No, I know that I believe we can add additional contact into the portal for purposes of FAM setup. A primary contact is required for to send these email notifications. So I know certain groups in the past on other programs we've worked with have given, in addition to the a primary contact, a group email address, like questions at or inquiries at or info or something like that, that a few folks would have access to get those alerts. But generally speaking, we do need one main contact, but we can take those individual or one-off scenarios as they come.
Okay. The next question, what docs can we use to determine the income of the households? This is going to include things like pay stubs, W-2s, wage statements, IRS 1099s, tax filings, bank statements that might, evidence regular income, or an attestation from an employer. Extenuating circumstances might require a waiver from these documentation requirements, but it's going to be the same types of income statements that you'd use to qualify for somebody for a mortgage, essentially. Next question, looks like Roger. The borrowers had deferments in the past year and now is 30 or 60 days past due. Would they qualify or have to wait to be 90 days past due? They'd have to wait to be at least 3 months behind or have missed 3 payments or more, Roger. We did, we contemplated the 90 days or the 3 missed payments. We'd like to not make people wait unnecessarily, and so feel as though if someone has missed 3 payments, they'll be able to qualify, but not if they are 30 or only 60 days behind. And next question is, does this apply to Fannie Freddie sold loans serviced by the bank? This program is eligible. These loans, to my understanding, would be eligible if they are serviced by the bank. You're obviously going to need to get investor buy-in, right? Investors are going to have to sort of participate too in the program. Jumbo loans are not eligible under half. But generally conforming loans within the Fannie Mae standard loan limits are eligible. And that would include loans that are not just held in portfolio at the bank, but are simply serviced by the bank. Let's see, all right, questions are rolling now. Are these docs required? Can we just take consumers at their word? Yes, income documentation is required unless, like I mentioned earlier, there are extenuating circumstances where they cannot provide the required documentation. Of course, there are cases where homeowners might have 0 income, and they would attest to the fact that they have 0 income through something like a no income affidavit or attestation, and that is acceptable under the terms of the program.
And Elliot, just to be clear about that, we are doing the income determination. That's not the servicer's responsibility. So homeowners would provide that income documentation as part of their application through the online portal. And then we would review that and determine eligibility and determine the level of assistance. So that's not a servicer role to do that.
Great point. Thanks, Mark. See, next question I see is if they had RAF funds, if they received RAF funds in the past year, are they still eligible? Yes. If they're 90, or if they missed 3 or more payments since the receipt of those RAF funds, and they qualify under all of the other aspects of the program, but that does not on its face disqualify them from HAF eligibility or receiving HAF funds. Dawn's question, yes. Will MHP be contacting MHP borrowers proactively? Yes. We will be reaching out to let them know of this program, to visit the site, determine eligibility, and go from there. We want to encourage our homeowners certainly to take advantage of this product, of this program. Yes, and to Mark's point, next question is, isn't it true that the servicer doesn't have anything to do with determining eligibility? Yes, that is true. We are looking for the servicer to play a role sort of on the back end of the program, confirming the data that the applicant has submitted, but our case managers through Title Basin are going to be responsible for determining eligibility, underwriting the files, settling on the amount that's due, et cetera. And that is not incumbent on the servicer at all. Let's see, I think. A specific question about MAHA, undetermined. MAHA at this point does not have a role in the program at this point, no.
I will say that we do have an RFQ that has had its response period pass, and we have a number of homeownership counseling agencies that have applied to participate in the program by helping homeowners to complete applications and also to provide counseling support. MAHA and other respondents are in the mix now and are being considered as partners with us.
I'm going to throw out 2 questions that we have for this group, actually. No need to respond right now, but just things that we're thinking about. The first has to do with municipal liens and how y'all as mortgage servicers, find out about municipal liens on the property, and then what the process for handling those municipal liens is. We're sort of would welcome any information or feedback you have on that question. The second would be, how would you like to, or how do you plan to communicate with your homeowners, with your borrowers, and how can we help in that effort? Can we, would templates for outreach communications be helpful? If so, please let us know. We'll probably send them anyways, but if there are specifics, please let us know what would make the most sense for getting the word out to the borrowers to really benefit from the program. Let's see. I think the last couple are answers to questions. Is this a one-time offer for 3 or more months of payments? At this point, yes. We haven't determined the process for reapplication to HAF. I will say we haven't put a cap on the amount of funds that one can receive. We hope certainly that we can assist folks who need it and get them back and get their mortgages reinstatement with one fell swoop, but leave open the option going forward for folks to reapply if funding allows and the need is there. Roger, to your question and Mark's point, we are looking to partner statewide with housing counseling agencies across the state. So we want to ensure that homeowners, no matter what municipality they live in or they apply from, will receive or be eligible to receive that counseling assistance that comes along with the program. So we don't anticipate partnering with just one housing counseling agency. It will be many. These are great questions. I hope that this is helpful and clarifying for not just those asking the questions, but others as well. At this point, maybe we could roll to just some resources, next steps, and just a quick reminder too that there's another webinar scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. If you missed any part of this one, or your colleagues that like to attend, please have them attend on Thursday at 2. And I'll just run through a couple last slides here. But we've set up a page on the MHP website, this link right here, that contains a lot of the information we talked about today, an overview of the program, homeowner eligibility, eligible uses of funds, but it also includes some frequently asked questions, several of which we might have just sort of responded to in this session. You can download the servicer cooperation agreement there, and there's an email address that you can specifically send a signed copy back to, or ask questions if you have those. In terms of next steps, review the FAQs, the one pager. We're going to post a link to a letter that the Division of Banks will be sending about the program, about not only the HAF program, but the recent CFPB rule. Review and sign the collaboration agreement. Onboard into the FAMS portal, complete that registration. Start to get a sense of what your 3+ months borrowers, 90-day borrowers look like. Plan an outreach campaign to them, and then send that outreach to them and point them towards the application. And at that point, they'll take it from there. So for those that attended today, we asked for everybody to register. We have your contact information. We can follow up with this slide deck. We can follow up with the links to the website. We ask you to reach out with questions, and we really look forward to working with you to help mitigate the negative impacts of COVID and get all these homeowners back to square one. Thank you very much.
Elliot, I just want to elevate a question from Don from the Lending Club. If they have a subservicer, should they be involved in the agreements?
I believe so. I think we want the entity servicing the loan. That's my understanding, Bailey. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the servicer would be signing the agreement, not the owner of the mortgage or the investor. If otherwise, Dawn will let you know. Thanks, Isabel. All right, well, with that, we'll close up and follow up, and please send colleagues our way for Thursday as well if they're interested. Thanks, everybody.